Hi there. I'm glad to be here again for another episode, for another edition, and to talk to you. And for this particular episode, I want to share something that says mental health is wealth. I know that we often hear that health is wealth, but this time around, particular by saying mental health is wealth. Excuse me. And I will be sharing two stories with you to explain that particular concept. I'm hoping that the video will not be long, but in case it is, please bear with me. So I'm going to read a story to you, and I'm going to use these two stories actually to explain this concept. So come along with me while I read this story. Bola is a brilliant 19-year-old engineering student at the university where when his roommates realize that he's always talking to himself and behaving in odd manner. So they tried to engage him, but when he was not responding, they reported to University Health Services, and they came for him with an ambulance and took him to the hospital. He was later referred to a specialist hospital and was diagnosed to have schizophrenia. Now, schizophrenia is a mental health condition where you talk to yourself. You talk as if people are conversing with you. You talk as if you are saying things, and so nobody sees what you're saying, and everybody's worried and concerned about who are you talking to, what are you talking about, and all that, which is why Bola was talking to himself. All right. His parents were invited and counseled by the doctors, but they were adamant that their son was not having a medical problem. So they concluded that this is spiritual. Our son does not have a medical problem. And so, because the spiritual dad warned them weeks back that something was going to happen, that the enemy was going to come for them. And so they need to be prepared. And so this time around, when they were called and told about what was happening to Bola, they concluded that, the enemy has finally succeeded. And so they decided, no way, this will not happen. So rather than take medical counsel, they decided to take Bola to a spiritual leader and left Bola there. So they took him to the village, actually, right? The spiritual leader was in the village. They took him to the village and left him there. Fast forward 20 years later, Bola was out of there and he had become a farmer in the village. Of course, poor farmer, tired, poor farmer. Let's assume that, okay, so Bola was 19 as at the time this thing started, and 20 years later, it meant that Bola was now 39 years old as at the time that he had become, 20 years after, he had become a tired farmer, tired and poor farmer. And of course, looking older than his age, right? For someone who has, and you see, that's what happens. I'm sorry, but that's what happens at the end of the day when people are taken from where they're supposed to receive proper treatment and they are taken to traditional healing homes. By the time you see them, they look haggard. They look worse than they were before. They look older than their age. They look malnourished and deprived, whatever name you want to give it. And it's sickening, right? It's sickening. Now, at this point, Bola never recovered. He never fully recovered. He was now looking older than his age. He was now a farmer, and because the way they are being treated when they take them to those traditional homes, you don't want to experience it. You don't want to. And so this was the case of Bola. Brilliant chap, brilliant engineering student at 19. And this happened. And rather than take him for proper medical attention, they decided to visit the traditional healers. Why? Because they had been told years ago that something was going to happen in their family. The enemy was going to comfort them. And so such a family survive? And so they have 3 children, none of them in school. How sad. You know, I live in a country, and I bet it's not just my country, where there is a tendency to spiritualize or bring culture into mental illness. Irrespective of your religious divide, there is a spiritual side to it that is always being brought when these things happen. And we make it seem like all that you just require is spiritual attention because the enemies are at work. Look, I am not against your spiritual practice or your faith practice. No, I'm not. But what I want you to know is that even your faith, right? If your faith tells you not to use medication or not to seek help, then you need to ask yourself, okay, if the founder of your faith supports or is interested in your death, in you dying. So that's the question. So that's the case of Bola, right? Now, the second case is another young man, another brilliant young man whose name happened to be Tunde. Tunde was a successful, charismatic medical doctor who ran his own medical practice his own private medical practice in town. Tunde would work long hours because he was very hardworking and skilled. He was supervising everything, the clinic, the administrative work, and all that. He had a beautiful wife and 2 children. And then one day, an accident happened. Tunde's wife and children, they died. This changed Tunde's life completely. Tunde lost himself. Tunde became a shadow of himself. Tunde became very miserable, that people couldn't understand him anymore. His friends asked him, what is wrong? What is happening? Tunde maintained he was fine. And then gradually, his health status began to affect his work. He became a nagging boss. He would nag at staff members. He would nag at patients. He would rough handle things. And gradually, the hospital went down the drain. So Tunde locked himself up and resorted to drinking alcohol. He would overdose on medications. He would drink himself to stupor. When his friends couldn't reach him, they decided that, look, you know what, we cannot just stand and be looking at this guy. So they got the police, broke into his home, and took him to a mental health facility. Tunde was diagnosed with depression, severe depression for that matter, and suicidal tendencies. And of course, this was complicated by alcohol abuse. Now, Tunde went to the appropriate place and received care. Tunde was taken to the hospital. He was taking medication as well as undergoing therapy, and he bounced back. But remember the story of Bola. Bola ended up wretched. Now, what is the difference between these 2 people? Like I said at the beginning, we've all often heard health is wealth, health is wealth. But this time around, mental health is wealth. Now, if Tunde had spoken early enough to his friend what he was struggling with, you see, what Tunde experienced was grief. The loss, the death of his wife and children made him grieve, but he didn't manage it well, and he thought he could manage it himself. So he didn't speak up to his friends who were asking, what's up? And some of you watching me right now, you fall into that category. You want to form that you can handle it by yourself when you have friends who keep asking you, how far? And because the impact was beginning to weigh him down, because he was keeping things to himself, that affected his work. Now, so where is the wealth? Where is the reward of all the hard work that he had done before then? So please never for once